Today's story is one of courage and persistence, a little-known tale of unwavering dedication in the face of one of the world's most brutal and oppressive regimes. Behind almost every photograph, every piece of footage, and every report smuggled out of North Korea is a secret underground organization of journalists operating within the country. Behind that organization is one man. Jiro Ishimaru was born in Osaka in 1962. As a child, he held a strong interest in Korean history and culture, which informed his decision to study Korean language at Yonsei University in Seoul. Shortly after graduating, he applied for a job as a writer for a Japanese newspaper where he would be covering North Korea. However, he ultimately turned down this role, choosing instead to pursue a career as a freelance journalist specializing in North Korea. Jiro summarized his early career in the following quote: "The principle of journalism is to go into the field and meet people. So I went to North Korea, but I was put under government surveillance and the North Korean government authorities only showed me what they wanted to show. I gave up reporting by myself." Jiro visited the country a total of 3 times, speaking to over 900 North Koreans in order to establish himself as a knowledgeable and committed reporter on the country, with many of his reports being published not only in Japan but also abroad in the West. In 1993, Jiro set off on a 1,400-kilometer journey across the entire border of North Korea and China, hoping to gain a more thorough insight into the country that had fascinated him for so long. Along his journey, he met many North Koreans who had illegally crossed the border into China in search of food, and was able to gather a vast amount of information about the country for his reports. Along his journey, Jiro encountered many North Koreans who had gone into hiding in the border regions of China, fearing discovery by the authorities of either side. To his surprise, some of these people offered to return home as journalists, documenting life in North Korea and smuggling reports out to him. This is where the Rimjingang story begins. Jiro, enthralled by this revolutionary idea, began formulating a plan, one that would take 20 years to come to fruition. In 2003, he established a procedure for recruiting, personally training, and then deploying and receiving reports from journalists in North Korea. He described it as follows: "I started to build the system in 2003 through which North Korean people can do the news by themselves, because they are the only people who can witness the facts and secure evidence of North Korean people's life on the spot, which I think is very important and powerful. It is important to continue to go to China and meet people who have left North Korea legally or illegally. At first, we were wary of each other, but since we are human beings, we can judge to some extent whether we are reliable for each other by meeting and talking many times. After the process, we start small projects together and keep building trust with each other by keeping promises. We repeatedly stress the importance of delivering news to the world for the North Korean people. It's a very simple thing, but a basic thing for all journalists to do." Jiro began receiving reports from around 20 journalists that he trained personally, publishing them as a freelancer in various publications the world over. It was this raw, hard-hitting journalism that enabled Jiro to advance in his career, graduating from the world of freelance journalism to a job as chief editor of Asia Press. It's at this point that Jiro, after 20 years of work, had finally achieved the position to progress his plan to the next stage. In 2008, he partnered with former North Korean poet and defector Choi Jin-lee to publish a magazine called Rimjingang. The name refers to the Rimjingang River, which flows across the border from North to South Korea, and symbolizes the words of the North Korean people flowing to their brothers in the South. Rimjingang utilized Jiro's 20-strong band of secret journalists, people ranging from everyday drivers and factory workers to government officials and foreign exchange traders, to publish a magazine filled with reports directly from the North. Using his connections at Asia Press, Jiro was able to make this magazine a commercial reality, employing paid journalists in one of the most secretive countries on Earth. Articles are published under pseudonyms to protect the journalists as much as possible, and Rimjingang has a perfect record in terms of keeping its journalists undiscovered. Some reporters have been continuously reporting to Jiro since 2004. The courage displayed by the journalists and the commitment displayed by Jiro are awe-inspiring to me. I unironically spent hours just browsing Rimjinggang's website online. The reports, the photos, and the videos are equal parts interesting and harrowing, and the range of information available is surprisingly vast. Everything from black market currency and commodity prices to the contents of school textbooks to classified North Korean government documents are available on the site. As someone who's always had a sort of morbid fascination with North Korea, paired with a general disdain for the usual clickbaity, poorly researched content on the country, Rimjinggang's reporting made a huge impression on me. I truly think this is some of the rawest, most cutting-edge, most inspiring journalism I have ever seen. They also have a YouTube channel filled with footage from these on-the-ground reporters, one which is criminally undersubscribed and displays the harsh reality of daily life in the Hermit Kingdom. This short video is a tribute primarily to those journalists, those heroes endangering their lives to bring us an unfiltered glimpse into their world. It is also a homage to Jiro Ishimaru, a man of courage and dedication who has made it his life's works to effect a real change and build a true free press within the country of North Korea. Lastly, it is an attempt to popularize this little-known project, an effort to share the fantastic work these people do with a larger audience who may well find it as enthralling as I do. If you found this video interesting, please drop a like and a comment. As someone with so few subs, I really rely on this kind of engagement for the video to actually be seen. If you really want to help out and also test a long-running theory of mine, you can mute this video, loop it, and leave it playing in a closed tab. My theory is this will increase the average watch time and result in this story reaching more people. If you enjoy the style of content I make and want to see more, please drop a sub. I'm really looking to get this channel off the ground and put out some interesting content, and I appreciate your support. Thank you very much for watching, and good night.